If people can't see the end result, they will not make the sacrifice. The sacrifice has nothing to do with the end result. The sacrifice creates a new result.
Welcome to Mended Men's Conversation, life lessons and legacies, where real men have real conversations. In every episode, we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and lessons that shape us as men. From mental health and fatherhood to faith, identity, and purpose, we are breaking the silence and starting the conversations that matter. Between us is over 12 years of professional experience and more than 140 years of combined life experience as fathers, sons, brothers, husbands, friends, and educators. We know that healing starts with an honest dialogue. So let's get real. Let's get ready. Let's grow together. This is Mended Men's Conversation.
This is Mended Men's Conversation. My name is Anthony Washington, and I'm going to let my co-host introduce himself.
Well, my name is Titus Garnett. Before we get into the show, this is a program. It's not a therapy session, basically, and the more and more we get into it, the more and more you realize it's not a therapy session. But we initially started out as being a conversation about the relationship of men, preferably Black men, to society, to each other, to their families, the females in their life, or men, even their relationship with other men, how they deal with each other. But it tends to now go more toward more societal, our relationship to societal. Even though we're not specifically addressing Black men to society, because we are Black men, we are addressing it to society and to what's going on, political, social, educational, economical, or whatever. And it's just
Are you
two
breaking?
brothers having a conversation.
As he was saying before, we started off on one way, but I think we're still on the same path. We just kind of
Yeah,
broaden
yeah,
the
yeah.
conversation, And yesterday I was checking out a few people. What stuck with me is that these lynchings, even the young guy, I can't remember his name, the one who went on a boating trip. The one who went on a boating trip with all the white friends, and then all of a sudden they come back and he's missing, and nobody
Right,
know nothing. They're not
right.
talking. Basically, they're lawyered up, and
Yeah,
not saying anything. All their accounts have been frozen, made private, so you can't check out none of the things in it. And it's been, I don't know, maybe I'm just being paranoid, but it's, to me, it seems like these incidents of missing Black people just been happening a little too frequent for me. It's not, somebody got hit by a car. This shit is happening a lot.
yeah, yeah. There
And,
was,
it, and, and it's all coming up the same thing, a suicide.
right,
Hmm. That's
right.
that's just mind-boggling. I can't swallow that process. I mean, because I'm not saying it's not impossible. What I'm also saying is that, do you take account in what type of space or what was going on with the person before this incident happened? Or we don't even look at that. Because from my experience, if there's a suicide, there are some telltale signs that's going to happen beforehand.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and this is in relation to what you're talking about. There was a young lady. She was out on the beach at a party, or she was at a house at a party, all right? But she was the only Black female there. But she was there with her friends, all right? But she's the one that ends up dead later on. They can't find her. They find her outside dead or something just like that. Now, here's the thing, the telltale sign is that it's the single Black out with a bunch of white friends. And then they're the ones that something happened and nobody knows nothing. They don't know.
Point exactly.
They don't know shit. All right. So that's so. In other words, they both went into a situation trusting these people who they said they were their friends. Now they all happen to be white. Now you think this is a racist show, but what happened to them was racist. You know. So, and it's not the first one. I think there's something going on, like you mentioned, with the hanging. I think was in I don't know if it was Louisiana or Mississippi or one of them.
I also listened to the judge that sentenced Anthony Carmelo to
Yeah.
35
Uh-huh.
years in
Yeah.
prison.
Right.
There's a lot of things he didn't let into the court. You
Uh-huh.
know, he didn't let the public in there. He didn't let him say nothing. And then he want to give an interview, kind of like, man, if this don't sound like the KKK ran their head up, you know, the whole jury was white.
It's as though society on the dark side, they can do shit now and they got a greater
And get
chance
away
of
with it.
getting away with it than ever before. And and you have a new group, a new generation of people who weren't around in the 50s and 60s who might have an anger or want to see how it feels to do that. It's like when there was a crowd and the guy runs through a crowd with his car to run somebody over. The mentality is, do you want to know what it feels like? Do you have that much anger in you? Or you need a taste for blood or a taste for revenge or anger? And there's a lot of people out there now, and we've mentioned this in a lot of our conversations. It's a real lot of fucked up mentally people out there. Now,
Yeah.
in today's world, we can't use the word retarded. Fuck that shit. These people are fucking retarded, man. They need help. They got a lot of anger. They got a lot of bitterness. They got a lot of revenge. And some of it is probably coming from, and I believe personally, this is just my individual thought. I believe a lot of that is just personally coming from their own personal life. Because history will tell you whenever society is having a shit fit and having a hard time, they go looking for the minorities or someone else who they feel is weaker than them to put the blame on and take it out of. That's what Trump is doing. You know, they blaming the immigrants. And people say, well, how come you're not going after white immigrants that are illegal in this country? And they say, well, he didn't say white or black. He just said immigrants, illegal immigrants. But you don't never hear about them arresting any white immigrants or sending them back to any place. The only thing you heard about white immigrants was the ones coming from South America. I'm sorry, South Africa that he brought in. They said there was being genocide against them. Wasn't no damn genocide against them. He was making a message that white immigrants are okay. You're welcome. Just people of color are not. And now when you look at that, people of color are not, that pretty much takes up 80% of the world. So they just want to bypass, us and bring in, they want to whiten America. Basically, that's it. But they're not going to admit that.
And
But
I want to say this much. I'm not going to say all whites are bad. Being a butthole, it's not just you come down to color.
you
It's an
you
individual
you
thing.
are right. You are right about that. Okay. But the way society has a way of making it, it pretty much does if they look at it. Now, I've known white people, and I'm not saying all white people are that way because it's impossible to say everybody of one thing is that way. It's just the idea that when we pigeonhole people for something, sometimes they pigeonhole us. Now, are we pigeonholing them because these kids who got hung or who got killed or who got beat up happen to be the only black person around all these white folks? And the word that was interesting is saying they were with their friends. And that's the scary part about it. These people actually believe, these black deceased people actually believe they were around their friends. Now, was this planned? All right. Was this say we set these people up so we can see how it is? You know, people hear about the KKK, and they hear about what happened during the 50s, the 30s, the 20s, and they might want to feel, hey, how does it feel to kill somebody? How does it feel to hang a black person? How does it feel to kill a black person? You know? So maybe they just want to know. And the same mentality is, how does sex feel? Ooh, how does it feel to rape somebody? How does it feel to grab a woman's ass when she ain't looking? How does it feel to grab her crotch? How does it feel to walk down the street and slap the crap out of somebody? And they do that at times, and I'm quite sure you've seen it, where somebody's walking down the street and somebody just all of a sudden, a young guy walking by, and he just turns and whacks the living hell out of somebody just to see how it feels, and said, "Oh man, I kicked the shit out of that man. Ooh man." They get a kick out of that because they want to know how it feels. And there may be something going on in his head that he wants to know. It's inquisitive. If I kill a black person, can I get away with it? How was it when these kids got killed in the church back in the 60s by explosion, and the people got away with it? Or they buried those civil rights workers, black and white, was down here doing civil rights work, and the cops stopped them and they found their body, what, maybe weeks, a month, 2 months later, buried. How's it feel to get away with something? To get away with a bank robbery, to get away with murder, to get away with cheating, get away with, the mentality of a human being. Can I get away with it? How does that feel to do it?
When they had that trial for OJ and he got off,
Yeah.
I felt like, shoes on the other foot. Now you know how I feel.
Retribution.
Hmm.
Everybody,
And
and
I'm not
you
saying
know
that
what?
he wasn't guilty. I'm not saying
Sure.
that. What I'm saying is that he was found not guilty, and the majority of white society could not handle.
They could not handle it. And we weren't looking at it as if OJ was guilty or not guilty. As a matter of fact, most of us thought he
No, it
was
was just the fact
anyway.
that he got away with it
But
because
the fact he
what they do on a regular basis is what we
right,
experience with OJ.
right. He got off where we don't never get off from them, you know, and they get off on shit. Damn near everything that we see, they get away with. And see, the OJ thing goes back to even deeper than that. It goes back to Jim Crow. The what's his name? Tills. Boy, that white woman said he said something out of line to her, and they go and they kill that boy. You know,
That's a real that's a real sick mentality that they have when you want to say that make up a laws that you can't look at a woman. Like really,
I need
that
a
shit
white
is
woman,
crazy.
a white woman.
Yeah,
All right, and you can't
asshole
let,
turned to
and
the ground just like a
whereas
black or any other woman. So
and they're
she's a
white,
female, but
yeah, and
that's
they
the
would.
mentality that they had. No, I ain't gonna say had
Yeah.
because I ain't gonna say all. A lot of them have that mentality that
Well, see, that goes to that
they're
Jim
here and
Crow.
you're beneath them.
They can do anything they want and get away with it. All
Yeah.
right, they can kill, steal, rape, blame, whatever, and get away with it because of their skin color. And then this is the first time actually nationwide when OJ was found not guilty, we say, well, damn, how does it feel? How does it feel that
Shoe on the other foot.
y'all, the shoe not only on the other foot, but you so angry you want to do something about it, but you can't because it wasn't an all black jury. You know what I mean? So, and you hate that. That's why you guys always had all white juries, so you
Because
can
you
get away with. But then again, you want to come back and talk about justice is blind. Well, shit.
she got shades on.
Shit. That justice got an ear. She
That
got
justice got
earbuds.
shades
She
on.
got earbuds in. She don't see shit. She don't hear shit.
But you know
Well,
something? One of the
yeah.
things I will say is that, we talk about that. One of the things I believe that we have to do, and I hear people say it a lot, we just can't focus on president, Congress. We need to start from the bottom and work our way all the way up. And I mean, whatever city, school board council, city council, we need to be involved in all of that. I mean, because if you allow somebody else to be in control of things like that, it's never going to work out in your favor. It's just not.
It's like I was talking to a young guy a couple of days ago, and he was a man. He wasn't no kid or nothing. He was either late 20s, 30s. He's a grown man, and we was talking about things, and we was talking about blacks and relationships in this country, and he said, "Well, this is why they do blah blah this, blah blah that. That's why white folks. That's why they did this and they did that." And I looked at myself. I'm gonna ask you a question I ask other people. Now that we know all this shit, what are you gonna do about it? We know the reasons why. Why is the same reason? Why does the same thing keep happening? What are we gonna do about it? We can't, and like what you said, we know we got to start from the bottom up with politics, but
Mhm.
it's easier just to concentrate on two people running for the president than on congressmen, senators, mayor, city council. You see what I'm saying? School board, you know,
Yeah,
it's a lot
all of that.
easier just to deal on that and not work out. But see, the Republicans plan this shit real good. They've been working from the bottom up from the last 25, 30 years. And look at the position they're in. And right now, the Democrats got to fight one battle at a time, one senator here, one congressman there, instead of dealing with the whole thing. When you had Obama in for the first term you had pretty much Congress. But what did they do? All they did was fight him, say, well, we want to be bipartisan. Is the Republicans being bipartisan now?
They ain't want to be bipartisan there.
Right. And Obama had to fight just to get barely past his Obamacare. And then he had to travel the country to promote it. And when he ran for his second term, and other people was running for the elections of the Congress or whatever, they didn't want him to come speak with them. But then all of a sudden now they love him. And that reminds me of the same crap they did with Muhammad Ali. When Muhammad Ali was first fighting as Cassius Clay, and he was changing his name to Muhammad Ali, boy, they wanted to kick. Man, they hated him with a passion.
But that's
All
that's
right.
that's normal.
But I'm not talking about just white folks. I'm talking about black folks too. All right. But then they wanted him to kick ass in the fights. But then when he wanted, they was drafting him, and he took him to court. Said, "No, I ain't fighting in no army. I don't have to fight in no war." He said, "Why should I kill people I don't know for a country that don't treat me right?" And he won
And
that. They want to kick his ass.
ain't
But
nothing changed.
the point I'm making is this: when he got older, next thing you know, the man was carrying the Olympic torch. Oh, they loved him then. Everybody act like they didn't hate him, but they hated his guts when he was younger. And the same thing with King. King this,
Listen,
King that. They hated his guts when he was younger.
listen. Ain't nothing changed. When he got older, they hated his guts. They would never say it out front, but deep down, if they was together and it wasn't black, they hated him in. Listen, what he was an educated black man. And the perfect example today is the brother from Boston Celtics. That shows that that is what they fear, educated black men. That they can't control. Long as they can control you, they're comfortable. And when you act on the plane that you're supposed to act on, you're no longer controllable. He did not allow their opinion be his opinion.
I want to change the subject on you and talk about something that's very sensitive, but you don't hear nothing about. All right. The word, you hear this word all the time. It's called boycott. All right. Now, automatically, when people think boycott, they may be thinking something about Trump. They may be thinking something about the Asians. We can get into that Asian thing next week or another time. But I want to talk about something that happened a few months ago when the Supreme Court said that the states can redistrict the congressional districts. And the only way you can say it's racially motivated, you got to prove it's racially motivated. Ain't that a bitch? You got to prove it. But that's not what I want to talk about. But it's related to that. Okay. The thing I want to talk about is this, and it's been kind of hidden, and you're not hearing anybody talk about it, is that there were some people who brought it up. I don't know if it was the NAACP, they might have brought it up, or somebody else, was that these Southern schools that tell these black ball players for these colleges to boycott playing for these teams in those
Now, so
states in the South, in those states that are all of a sudden redistricting to affect the votes of the black people in the South. They say that these college kids with their scholarships or whatever, or when they're looking for schools, refuse to go to those states that are doing that. Texas, Louisiana, Alabama,
Carolina,
North
Alabama, Georgia,
Carolina.
Florida.
Georgia stopped it. They didn't do it. They tried, they thought about it, but they said no, they didn't do it. All right. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what
The
you're talking about.
states that did that. And some people are saying, hey, they're just kids. They just want to play ball. It don't affect them. Oh, the hell it do. They old
That's
enough to vote. You know
yeah,
what I mean? And it affects their parents.
anytime you affect their pocketbook, you get their
That's
attention.
it. That's it. But they trying to say, and all of a sudden, I don't hear nothing about it. Football season's coming up. As a matter of fact, it should be starting next month, late next month. They're all in summer practice right now. All right. But you don't hear nobody talking about it because these
Uh,
kids, they can get money now. So they're not going to
that's
want
it.
to stop their flow of money.
That's part of their mindset. Bait and switch.
Hmm.
It's all right out there in front of you. We can make a 6 million excuses why not to do those things. Things will never change.
It'll never change. I watch in especially in late spring, I watch the college baseball when they going to for the league championship and
World
going for
Series.
the world and the World Series, College World Series. And you see all these players and you see all these black players in there. And these players can get money now, nice money for endorsements. You get these quarterbacks at these big football universities can make $2 million or more, $4 million a year just in endorsements, just using their name. All right. But the thing of it is, will they be willing to sacrifice their pocketbook for their right to vote, for their right? Will they sacrifice their pocketbook for their people?
I think they should, and I think they can. Because no matter where they go, they still won't get paid. You know,
Well,
well,
do you think they will?
the cause has to be bigger than getting paid. You know, that's
Well,
the bottom line. You know, we said this, and we're not the only people say it, is when you affect the pocketbook of these big corporations and schools or whatnot, then you can get their attention. They're gonna come to the table and have that conversation with you, and that's what you got to do. You know, I
well,
mean,
I,
listen, they don't understand anything else, nothing else. You know, we can sit here and talk till we blue in their face. Kid less. Like, all they concerned about is their pocket. And when you
well,
affect that, then you get some attention. And then that's when you can sit down and negotiate, because now you got them at the table, and you have them at the point where it's fair game. I could go over here and do this.
well, that's all well
You're
and
going to
good,
lose,
Anthony,
huh?
but it ain't gonna happen. And I'm gonna tell you why it ain't gonna happen. Because the kids ain't gonna do it. Here we are right now in June, they in summer practice. I ain't heard not one person say, not one person at any school say, I'm not gonna play for you guys because of what you're doing in that state. Not one. And as long as these people with the big money on the top, the donors and everybody, they ain't got to worry about it as long as these kids don't say nothing. If
Well,
they're not gonna take the chance at it, they're not taking the chance at it
I,
now.
w- I,
Maybe
I,
next year,
I,
but they're not. But next year could be too late
no, it's never too late. It's never too late. I mean, they could do it this
for
year.
elections. Yeah,
Next year, I mean, listen, I wouldn't say it's too late when you to affect somebody's pocketbook is never too late. But I want to disagree with you on that. Be honest with you, I can't, because people they feel like they're in certain situations. I can get this money and they can make my life better. Probably, that's true. But the cause has to be bigger than just getting the pocketbook, getting the money. It has to be. I mean, we talked about Muhammad, the things he sacrificed, for what he believed in, and did he lose? Yeah, he lost a lot of money. But what he also gained was a lot of respect. You could not just play him any kind of way. And that's what it is about today. Because listen, these people don't do nothing but play games. They've been playing games for over 250 years and longer than that.
but it's a
So
whole new. It's a whole situation now. If these kids even just sat down, now hold
what's
on,
new? What's new about this?
because because I'm not talking individuals. I'm talking about a grand sacrifice of a lot of young people more than just a few. All right. If now hold on. Even if they had just sat down and put in the news, all the black players in this Southeastern Conference, we're gonna get together and talk about this situation. Even though if they didn't come to no conclusion, it has scared the shit out of them. It has scared the shit out of the big donors. It has scared and then they would have went to the Republicans, the congressmen, and this and that. Say, wait a minute, let's take another look at this thing, because that affects the money not just for the big donors. It affects the money for football itself. Even if I ain't talking about them
Listen,
taking and saying, no, I'm not playing. I'm saying that if they just sat
the
down
state of
and talked about it, it has scared the shit out of them.
the state of Louisiana, that is their income, other than the prisons. Is the schools, their
That's what I'm
sports.
talking about.
And we said earlier, when you affect the pocketbook, I'm gonna get your attention. You're gonna
What
come
I'm
sit down to the
saying
table.
is
You're gonna
that
talk like there's some
they
sense.
didn't even try to affect their pocketbook. If they had, I'm not saying that these kids will say, okay, I'm not going to take that scholarship. Oh, I'm not going to play for LSU. Oh, I'm not going to play for Louisiana State. Oh, I'm not going to this and that. If they had just a bunch of them say, wait a minute, let's get together and at least talk about it. And the word got out that all the black football players in the state of Louisiana going to these colleges, which probably got about 10 big name colleges down there anyway, and say, we're going to get together and just talk about it, that has scared the shit out of them. And that's what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. At least make it look like, instead of just acting like it doesn't exist. Everything just went quiet. It's like nothing ever happened. That would have scared the shit out of them. And then kids from another state, maybe Texas, they may see that and say, well, we're going to do the same thing. You're always going to get a few black folks that say, I'm here for my money. Fuck y'all. I don't listen to that. But there's a lot of kids that ain't getting money. And there's a lot of kids that it's affecting their vote. It's affecting their parents' vote. It's affecting their people's vote, their people. All right. And there are kids there with respect and worry about what the future is going to bring, because 98% of those kids are not going to play pro ball. 98% of them are not even going to get drafted. And of those, 1% may end up playing, but they still got to live in this world after that. When they graduate, quit school, drop out, get cut from the team, they still got to survive in wherever they're at, in the state, wherever they're at. But just to sit down and say something, that's all I'm asking. But nobody did nothing. They just got quiet. And the people who was trying to have them do something, they got jumped on. And they said, no, now ain't the time to bring it up. It's always the time to bring something up. And if it's not the time, make the time, you know. But how to hurt their big boys' pockets? Shit, they try to pay people off like crazy. They try to tell the coaches, you put a stop to this shit. And then they would have got mad, said we should have never paid them little jigaboos anyway. You know what I mean? They get mad and get nasty. And then they really make things stink. And then they'll take a good look of what Jim Crow was like. They will get a good look at what modern day Jim Crow is like.
An old version of Jim Crow. In
Yeah.
any way possible, keep you down, make you feel less than, that's what we get now. Same thing. They say they revise it. They put another different face on it, but same damn thing. Nothing changed.
But then it makes you think again. Also, one of the reasons they cover their faces, these ICE agents, they don't want to be seen. They think, oh, somebody's going to come after them. Well, you're going after people. You don't know. But to me, what about those black ICE agents? What are they doing it for, just the money? They don't remember how they came up and what their parents came through or grandparents came through. Now you go out and you grab somebody off the street. Are you being the prelude to Nazism, the way they saw it from
Pretty
us
much.
years ago? So what's your mentality? Where's your respect? Fuck pride. Pride is in my back pocket. Fuck understanding. You know. So what we're talking about is about black men. When did you start standing up? What age you start standing up? And them 3 civil rights workers that got arrested, dragged out of their cars by the cop, and took to the Klan and killed and buried out there in the farmland somewhere, they were teenagers. They're basically teenagers, or 20, 21 years old at the most. These weren't no fathers or anything like that. They didn't care. So when do we care? When do we feel disrespected? And how old are you when you start taking a stand? And what will
You
you
know,
sacrifice when you do?
it requires a lot of sacrifice,
Yeah.
but it's all worth it.
If people can't see the end result, they will not make the sacrifice. The sacrifice has nothing to do with the end result. The sacrifice creates a new result. that hopefully will never end if it's the betterment for the people. You know, all those football players and baseball players and basketball players, there's probably what in this country? 500,000 of maybe 10 million athletes, you know? How many gonna get drafted in the NBA? What? 100? How many gonna be drafted by the NFL? 100? How many of them gonna go to the play baseball? Maybe 50? How many are gonna actually do something in there and become professionals and make a lot of money? How many? Maybe 50 out of all of them put together? How many of them are going to the Hall of Fame? 10 out of 10 million? So what is the other 9,999,090? What the fuck they gonna do? Sit back and go, well, I should have done that back then. You ain't done shit. You're not worried about your future. You're not worried about your people's future. And then you get mad when you get old and you say, oh, I wish I should have, would have, could have. What the hell? The then.
Yeah, there you go. That's where you
All
don't
right,
want
the
to be.
angry man has spoken.
But all that is true, man. One of the things that comes to mind is that, with all this stuff, is that we need to vote. We need to participate.
Yeah,
We no longer can sit
yeah,
back and say, I ain't going to do nothing because it ain't going to make a difference. That's bullshit.
yeah.
We can make a difference,
Hmm.
but we can't, we don't have the luxury of sitting on our ass. Not today. See, shit got to make a difference. You got to start.
Yeah, yeah,
But I can be part of this process more than one way.
yeah.
Just
And
hold the people accountable for their actions.
yeah, and get them dumbass Democrats to wake up. Shit. Yeah, the Democrat Party. They just, I mean, there's so much out there to throwing it up in front of the screen 24/7, and they
Listen,
ain't doing shit.
the old Democratic machine is no different than the Republican. They might not go out and do the same thing, but they're not going to make a difference. It's more of a conversation. Change is a bitch. And that's one of the things they need to do. They need to change how they function.
And I'm gonna disagree with you on this point here. The Republicans did change. If you notice now, MAGA, the precursor to MAGA was the Tea Party. Okay. And back then, during Obama, when the Tea Party was nutting up, then they went to start preparing for this Project 25. That shit has been in the making for 20 years. And they just slowly churned that butter until that shit was ready to cook with. All right. The Democrats
But I
kept
did.
keeping the same old problem. Now that the Republicans are where they're at, they don't want to change. But they did change to get to where they're at. They could give a fuck about bipartisanship right now, where the Democrats are still trying to act like
What I'm saying,
bipartisan.
I agree with you on that. I didn't never say nothing about the Republican change because they did. They changed. They got worse.
Yeah,
The Democrats, it's like they boring as fuck.
that's what I mean. They are sitting on their laurels and they're saying they're trying to win through Republican fuck up. And they ought to know that it that
It's like saying, both of them is evil, but let's vote for the less evil. But the Democrats not going to change, and they okay with the way things is.
no,
So
but then they cry about
you
the
have
oh, you can't sit back. If your old lady is cheating on you in front of your face, stop crying about the dude that's giving it to her. All right. You deal with your old lady. If your old man is doing it, deal with your old man. All right. But the Democrats, they all they doing is bitching about what the Republicans are doing. But the voters, the Republican voters, are saying, well, the Democrats are just as bad. The Democrats ain't giving them no reason to think that they're not. They're just sitting back and saying, look what the Republicans do. They're not shooting any new advice or telling them anything new or pushing what they want to hear, except these new progressive so-called socialite communists or whatever you want to call it. The average person here don't even know the difference between a socialism, communism, and idolatry. They don't know the difference between nothing. And we do have some socialism already going on in this country. So it's not the scary thing that people are trying to make it. But now these Democrats do come out and they're getting attention, just like the Tea Party got attention, just like MAGA got
You
attention,
said who's
because
coming out and getting attention?
the progressive Democrats, socialists, the progressive, so that they're getting attention now, okay? Because they're coming out with the attitude of, hey, kiss my ass. I'm going to say what I'm saying, and you guys, this shit is affecting you, and we're not going to sit back and say we're Democrats, love us because we're not the Republicans. They don't give a rat's ass about you, all right? So you got to give them a reason to break down and say, you know what, they're right, but they're not saying anything different than what's happening right now. You got to get them to say, yeah, they're right, but they are understanding where I'm coming from. That's how Trump got the public in the first place. He gave them a reason to believe he knew where they were coming from. And the Democrats, they used to have the labor, and they started talking to labor like they were management, and labor don't give a fuck about management. All right.
No, they don't.
They don't. So the thing of it is, you got to go and talk to these people like you there with them, like you know them, you live with them, they understand you. And the thing of it is, most Democrats are middle class and they do know those people running for office. They don't have the big bucks like you think they do. They got to get money, to run their programs, to run their campaigns. All right. But the Democrats want to sit back and say, well, these progressive social, I don't like, we got to maintain, screw all that. Eventually, your kid has to be treated as an adult because you were once their age at 35 and 40 years old. It'd be like me going to
Yeah,
my son and telling him, well, you still a kid. You don't know no better. Screw that shit. I go to my son and I say, hey, you a grown ass man. We got to talk to each other like grown ass men. Not we're father and son, but we're still two grown ass men. You're not my kid. You're not my child. And the Democrats got to
yeah, you
get down
kid.
there. Huh?
I say, yeah, you're right. But they don't want to change. They
No.
got so comfortable that they feel like the ones on the right is just too aggressive.
Let me
But you
tell you,
see, most of the young ones out.
that's the future. The Democrats are scared. They scared of pissing off the old guard. They're scared of pissing off people like you and I, who they think we don't want. We like the status quo. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to make the ship fall apart. Screw that. Hell, we want to kick dirt in your face just like everybody else. You're on the beach, so I'm gonna kick the sand in your face. Get your face out away from my foot. You know what? I got a lot of shit to do. I got to work in the yard. I tell you what I wanted. I want to go right back to bed. Call it just kick back and wake up when I wake up. Stay in some air
Make
conditioning.
up for that lost time.
Hell yeah, I would like to go. I don't have. I go grab me a beer, or something, sit back with some chips, watch the soccer. I've been watching the soccer, man, and it's really effing interesting, man, to watch how they play. And it gives you an idea that our sports ain't shit compared to the world, man. Ain't
Soccer,
nothing.
it gotta be
Soccer
a hell
is
of a
just
shape.
off the chain, man. The world. I mean, these people, if they could, they go to war over this crap, man. But I watch it and you think soccer has no planning. There's not a reason why they do this, do that, that they don't have any, instead of just kicking the ball. These guys, they do have a plan. They do have things they want to do. They do know about the weakness of another player and the strength of another player. They do have concepts of what to do out on the field. And the more I watch, the more I see.
They,
And
but
I,
the power of
yeah,
greed is only gonna tell us what they want us to, because we hear
yeah,
it long enough, we believe it. We believe a lie.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. And the one thing we have in common with soccer is that everybody hates the umpires and referees, no matter what sport you in. They hate them because they hate them in soccer too. But it just, they have a game plan. That's what I'm looking for. They have a game plan, and we don't think they
That's
do, but
true.
they
They
do.
do.
And I'm looking,
I mean,
and I'm
it
gonna watch
shows in
something
their
today.
action that they
Yeah,
have a
it
game
does.
plan.
It does. It really do. And I know there's probably some people be watching this and they be going, "Man, that guy's crazy. What the hell's wrong with him?" And you know what? I'm the angry black man. Yeah, goddamn right, I'm crazy. But I'm gonna watch me some soccer, have me some beer, and suck me down some beer, and have me some chips and kick back, and hope I don't get no damn phone calls.
I got a
To
lot of
be
faith
me,
that
to
you're gonna
be
stay
me,
just
right?
the way you are.
Just the
Am
way
I wrong
I am.
about that?
Well, I do change, and when I wake up, I'm back to myself again.
Draws.
Only when I'm asleep. That's the only time I change, when I wake up.
I was answering your question.
What's that?
You said you do change, and I
Uh,
said draws. Or
what?
you could do like you always do. Don't win them
What's
all at
that?
all.
I knew you were the smart one. Well, I'm gonna be feeling breezy and clear all weekend now. I appreciate that, brother. Now we should be saying that stuff on the show like this. All right. No, I'm gonna have a relaxing the best I can, nice weekend. But when you try to relax, there's always something comes up to grab your attention. But today, I'm gonna try not to let that happen. But I'm not gonna put no money on it. What about you? You got a nice weekend coming up?
Social food on the grill this weekend, just kick it. I mean, I've been working for this thing all month. I done resetted it and shit. Come on one time and then don't go the next time. Watch YouTube videos of it, read the handbook.
Hey, let me ask you something, man. You use a lawn sprinkler? Y'all water y'all lawns there? Nobody waters their lawn here. When I first moved in this subdivision many, many, many moons ago, everybody be trying to use lawn sprinklers, fertilize, do all this and that. They don't do that shit no more. Don't do. All they do is cut their damn grass because you spend all that money trying to get it growing, and then the sun come out and burn the shit up. you know, and then they have water rationing, and people say to hell with all that. They just let it rain, let it grow, let it cut, and that's it. Call it a day. And if it wasn't for the green weeds, nothing would be green, I guess. But you can get nice lawns out here, but people just don't. It's just too expensive to mess with it.
And they don't take care of it or choose not to.
Yeah,
Or is it too
yeah, but
expensive?
it's I had a neighbor boy, he really put a lot of work in his lawn with the fertilizer, all this and that, and it still looked like he didn't do nothing to it. And he just said to hell with it. He let it rain because see here it rains when it feels like it. It can be 90-something degrees, but when it start getting toward evening, a cloud will come in and just drop a ton of rain on you, and it'll be raining on your side of the street and clear on the other side of the street. So and then that's just how it is. So we don't worry about it. As long as we got enough to fill up Lake Lanier, we're okay. Where we get our water from, so we're okay.
In this bad boy this weekend.
All right, my brother, I
And I
appreciate
want
you.
to see what happens. Yeah, I want to see what happens this weekend, this week, coming week about all those
About
hangings, and then the guy
yeah, yeah.
Carmelo Anthony and the brother that went out with his white friends and never came back.
Yeah,
We'll see
yeah.
what they say.
And the same thing
I got an
happened with this
idea of
young
what you
lady.
said. Nothing ain't gonna change, but we'll see.
You know what? There's so much crap going on that the news people they throw out a lot of stuff that's significant and they don't get to cover it. And Trump makes sure he gets all the attention. So then a lot of
On
stuff
stupid
ain't
shit.
gonna get covered. And like this guy who got killed down in Houston, this immigrant who got killed down in Houston yesterday. All right.
National Guard shot him.
Right, not National Guard. I shot him. Killed a guy in Houston yesterday. He was taking some gas to a construction site, and they started following him, and they had no unmarked cars and shit, and and they say he tried to run the ICE agent down, so the ICE agent had to protect himself.
But they got film showing that that's not true.
No, they ain't got
That
no
wasn't
film
true.
at all. All they got is film on
Yes,
him
they
laying
do.
in the street. But ICE, I
Yeah,
was just looking at it before we got on, and ICE said they didn't have no body cameras on. Okay, so the only cameras
that's
would
just
be
crazy.
people on the street. And I know that's just damn crazy. And then they got the nerve to say, well, they weren't after. He wasn't the one they were looking for anyway. And so they said last week they arrested 10,000 illegal aliens. What the hell's going on, man? What the hell's going on? This is crazy.
Yes, it is.
Make no sense. Anyway, let's get out of here, brother. And we
Yeah,
got some other.
and
I still would like to get
we
into this Asian boycott thing too, if we ever get a chance.
we can dabble in that next week.
Okay, but my brother, you take care of you and your family. It's good running some time with you today. My name is Titus Garnett.
And I'm Anthony Washington here on Mended Men's Conversation. See you next week.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Mended Men's Conversation. If something we shared resonates with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this episode with someone who needs it. Remember, healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. Stay connected with us, subscribe to the podcast, and join the conversation online. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep building your legacy.